This is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Subscribe, rate, and review Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Just check us out. We're also on Instagram at That Guy Jig. We're talking NBA, folks. A lot of stuff's been going on. We got Terry Rozier finally going back to a contender. Now listen, Terry Rozier at one point was on the Boston Celtics. At one point, the Boston Celtics had Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Gordie Hayward, and Kyrie Irving. At one point, this team was supposed to win the NBA Finals. They came up Gary Coleman. They came up short, so they blew it up. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, they get to stay. Gordie and Terry Rozier end up in Charlotte. Long pause, a.k.a. hell. That's where he is. But now he gets to go to the Miami Heat culture. Welcome, Terry Rozier. You get a bona fide score. This is going to help the Miami Heat tremendously. This is going to help the Miami Heat tremendously. Because with Terry Rozier, what you're getting, first of all, you're getting a certified bucket. First and foremost, you're getting a certified bucket. That's the first thing you're getting. Secondly, you're getting somebody that doesn't get hurt often. He's going to be available. Availability is the best ability. He's going to be available. You're getting a guy that averages 23 points a game. So this is going to help a lot. Listen, some of the things that the Miami Heat cannot get over is scoring. You know they're going to play good defense. You know they're going to give you good effort. You know they're going to rebound, etc., etc. This is what the Miami Heat are known for. But what they aren't known for as of late is having people outside of Jimmy Butler, outside of Bam Adebayo. Tyler Hero was hurt last year, but can he consistently be there offensively? With Terry Rozier, you add more depth offensively. You lose first-round picks when we all know Miami doesn't need those picks. Miami doesn't need their first-round picks because they always find talent. The Heat have a great, probably one of the best scouting departments in the NBA. And they are always finding talent, so the talent is not going to be hard for them to find. So bringing in Terry Rozier, you trade out Kyle Lowry. Listen, veteran championship guard, I get it. That, he's going to be bought out in Charlotte. So he's going to help some contender. Which ones, we don't know yet. But some contender will get Kyle Lowry. But the Miami Heat got Terry Rozier. And folks, this is huge. This is huge. Now, I don't think that the Miami Heat are still going to be able to beat Boston, beat Milwaukee, and beat Philly. But hell, we say this every year about the Heat. We say this every year, that the Miami Heat do not have the facilities, big man. We say this every year, that they don't have what it takes to beat these teams that are top in the East. And what do we know? What do we know? Jimmy Butler is standing on top of announcer tables. He's saying, "This is my shit." Big Face Coffee is all of a sudden up 400% in the stocks because Jimmy Butler's going ham in the playoffs. So honestly, with Terry Rozier and you bring in with Jimmy Butler and playoff Jimmy, you know what you're going to get. This is scary, folks. I still can't consciously tell you, hey, the Miami Heat are for sure going to do this, but I can tell you, it looks damn good. It looks damn good. Pat Riley, once again, slick back Pat makes it happen. Everybody wants to talk about Phil Jackson, man. But listen, Pat Riley, championship as a player, as a coach, and a GM. That man knows ball. That's what Pat Riley knows, is ball. So shout out to the Miami Heat. I know they lost tonight. I know they lost Terry Rozier's season debut with them. But listen, who gives a damn? It's going to be good. Trust me on that part. We know it's going to be good. Moving on, another move, the Milwaukee Bucks fired Adrian Griffin. They fired their coach when they were the number 2 seed in the East. They were the number 2 seed in the East. Listen, I try to keep you up on speed. And I'm not talking meth, but I try to keep you up on game. The NBA is a player-friendly league. So when your superstar says that guy gotta go, he's gotta go. He's gotta go. Giannis did not like the coach. The front office was losing trust in the coach. He was the number 2 seed in the East. Get him out of here. You bring in Doc Rivers. And everybody is like, oh, you bring in a coach who's notorious for choking, who's living off of a championship, off of that one championship with Boston. Let me tell you guys something, man. Doc Rivers, this is his best chance he's ever had at a championship outside of Boston. He has 2 players right now that are the hungriest for a championship that he's ever coached outside of Boston. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, Kendrick Perkins, that squad was hungry. You couldn't, listen, that was a endless abyss of appetite. You couldn't fill those guys up. But this team is close to that. I've been saying it all year. I think Milwaukee needs to move on from this Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez shit. Okay? Brook Lopez is a 7-footer that does not want to rebound. Brook Lopez is a 7-footer that wants to shoot threes. It works sometimes, but you can get something else for him. You can bring in some depth defensively and on the perimeter. You can bring in some depth for the bench. Things can happen. But this team is the best team for Doc Rivers. You get you a young Giannis on, well, he's not super young. I understand that. But you get a young prime player in Giannis. You get a Damian Lillard who's hungry. You get the city of Milwaukee behind you. This is going to be good for Doc. I know everybody's bringing up the 2016 Cavs where they fired David Blatt, hired Ty Lue, they won a championship. Listen, there's not a lot of good sequels in the world. Okay? There's not. I know people like to, oh, well, this happened and it happened for them. They had LeBron James. They had Kyrie Irving. They had Kevin Love. They had J.R. Smith. These are different strokes for different folks, but I'm trying to told you. But what I'm also telling you is there's not very often that there's a good sequel. I'm sorry. Is this a good team in Milwaukee? 100%. Milwaukee has one. There are 4 players in the NBA that are unstoppable. Milwaukee has one of them because of how the game is officiated today. Giannis is unstoppable. So they have one. So when you have an unstoppable, anything is possible. Anything is possible just off of that right there. But you start bringing the other elements, the hunger. You start bringing in Dame, Doc Rivers. I'm telling you, this is a scary situation. I like this for Doc. I think this is going to be a good situation. I don't know if they're going to... I listen. They still need to make a move before I get behind them. Pause. Before I'm really on this Milwaukee Bucks train of they're going to win a championship, I need them to make a couple more moves. I don't think this is enough. Their two is really good. They have a great duo. But their role players around them, they're going to let them down. They're going to let them down. That's a guaranteed. But since we're out east, let's go ahead and talk about Embiid had 70. That is wild. He had 70 points. Shout out to Joel. He is my number 1 for MVP right now, followed by Shea, Durant, and I have a sleeper, Kawhi. Shea is no longer my sleeper. I know last week I said he was my sleeper. He is no longer my sleeper. Shea is woke. The whole NBA community is now woke on Shea. The OKC Thunder are now tied for the first seed. This is good. This is also bad Because I'm telling you, if they get matched up with the Lakers, first round of the playoffs, it's not going to be good for the people of OKC. You are not going to like what happens. This movie does not end well for you if that's the matchup. Remember, the NBA playoffs is all about matchups, folks. They're all about matchups. Because if you can catch a team this early, you can catch them late before someone gets injured. Anything can happen in the NBA. So shout out to Joel. That's my number one of the MVP. Shout out to Shea and the OKC Thunder. The team I want to talk about next, though, is the Timberwolves. Now, I'm very high on the Timberwolves because of Anthony Edwards. Listen. Let's get this understood. I am not big on the Timberwolves outside of I know they have great defense, they got some good shooting, and they're long in length. But Anthony Edwards is the driving force for me. You take Anthony Edwards off that team, I don't believe in them. My point being is, look what happened. Karl Anthony Towns, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, he shits the bed. Listen, it's all fun and games. It's easy. He's out here dropping 20 points a quarter for the first 3 quarters. But then the Charlotte Hornets, folks, we're not talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. We're not talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. We're talking about the Charlotte Hornets, a team that is blowing it up right now. A team that just got rid of their leading scorer. We're talking about that team. That team decided to play defense on a guy who already had 50 or 60 points. Now we're going to play defense. And you couldn't beat that team. You can't close out that team. You're 6-4 in your last 10. In big games, Karl Anthony Towns can't stay on the floor. We have a problem. I saw a nationally televised game. Karl Anthony Towns had 4 fouls. Listen to me. Hear me and hear me now. The NBA does not like to foul out their superstars. The NBA doesn't like to foul out their stars, especially on top 5 contending teams. The NBA is all about ratings. When we have a national televised game, they do not want to kick out Karl Anthony Towns for the Timberwolves. They don't want you sitting on the bench. So my point being is, you gotta be a stupid motherfucker to get fired on your day off. How are you getting 4 or 5 fouls, Karl? Explain this to me. Effort. That's how. I'm telling you, if there is an Achilles heel for the Minnesota Timberwolves, listen to me. If they do not make a deep run in the playoffs, it's going to be because of Karl Anthony Towns. No one else. It's not going to be because of Anthony Edwards. It's not going to be because of COVID Gobert. It ain't going to be because of Mike, the veteran Conley. I'm talking about the quintessential meaning of a professional athlete. I think Jaden McDaniels is now mature enough not to punch a wall and break his hand. It's all going to fall on Cat. If Karl Anthony Towns cannot stay around for the big games, if he cannot come through for the city of Minnesota, it is going to be a very, very, very quick playoff run. Cancun on 3, Cancun on me. That's what it's going to be. You're arguably 1A or 1B can't do that to you. That whole game was for nothing. That whole game, the 60, 50 points, whatever the hell it was, is for nothing. You lost. Joel Embiid dropped 70 in a win. In a win. To score 4 points in the fourth quarter is wild, man. And if you watch the highlights, and I agree with the coach, you disrespected the game. If you watch the highlights, Cat, what are we doing? You're chasing stats, man. You're chasing stats. And this is really rich coming from a guy that accused other players of chasing stats. This is wild behavior. And that's why I'm on his head. That's why I'm on Karl Anthony Towns' head. because it just don't make any sense how they lost that game. And when you look at the Timberwolves and you look at what they're trying to accomplish this year as a team, he's a big part. He is the part. They go as far as Karl Anthony Towns takes them. I know Anthony Edwards is the engine, but Karl Anthony Towns is driving the fucking car. So guess what? If the driver's not good, you gotta get rid of him. You gotta get rid of him. And with and moving on, they're still tied for first. We're approaching All-Star weekend, All-Star break, because that's in February. So we're getting to February. We're getting to that halfway point. So, I mean, I think it's all right. But still, it has to be said. He has to be the force. He has to be the force. And if you want to know the interview I'm talking about, Karl Anthony Towns, it's the Aiden Ross interview where he's talking about players chasing stats. And that's why I'm on his head. Because he chased stats and got humbled up. But anyway, moving on from that crap. Listen, out west, the top 5, we're looking at OKC, Minnesota, Denver, the Clippers, and the Suns are coming in that 6th spot. Listen, to me right now, I know Denver's the defending world champions, but the Clippers and the Suns, folks, we got to watch out because these two teams are good. The Suns just have a lot of firepower, but the Clippers, Ty Lue, man, they got good players and they got a great coach. That's a scary team to watch out for. 8-2 over their last 10. The Clippers might do it this year, folks. If they can stay healthy, they could do it. The only thing that gets me about the Clippers, they don't have one of those unstoppable forces. See, Denver has an unstoppable force. The Clippers do not. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, especially Paul George, is known to go cold during the playoffs. Playoff P has been non-existent. And it's wild because he gave himself that nickname. So, I don't know. But I do know that they're deep enough. They have enough talent. They have James Harden, Kawhi Leonard. This team's going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. It's just that simple. And the Phoenix Suns are going to be right there with them. They're a tough team to beat in the playoffs. Another team that I want to talk about out east for the playoffs is the Knicks. Shout out to the Knicks. The Knicks making that trade. They are, I think, 10-2 since the OG trade. I'm telling you, folks, OG is about, listen, you're going to want to find you an OG. Your favorite team is going to want to find an OG type player. He can play both ways. He can shoot threes. He can defend 1 through 5 in today's NBA. What? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. In the game of basketball, the NBA season is beautiful. And I'm telling you, the NBA, once the snowball starts getting built, as far as trades and coaching and firing, it gets bigger and bigger. And as we get closer to All-Star break, watch out for more trades. The Hornets have already said they're trying to move on more pieces. They want to build around Ball, and they want to build around Miller. So Gordie Hayward, Miles Bridges, these are guys I expected to be moved. And a contender could really use some guys like that. There's other teams that got pieces that can move. The Raptors, they have a two-headed monster for the future of Scotty Barnes and RJ Barrett. So everybody else is probably for sale. The Wizards, Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, probably for sale. So who's buying? Somebody's got to be buying. And this is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Subscribe, rate, and review, and tell a friend. Tell a friend. Let's grow it. I appreciate it. I appreciate you all. This is the NBA. This is 2 of 3. We got one more coming. The NFL Championship Week. Conference Championship Week. NBA getting serious, folks. Adam, you still haven't called me. Listen. I'm trying to get the All-Star week going for you, Adam. I need you to call me. Adam. I need to know my budget. But this is That Guy Jig Sports Podcast. I am him, JIG. Please subscribe, rate, and review. Just subscribe. How about that? Meet me halfway. Peace.